What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so let's get into what's going on in Iraq. As usual, things are rolling forward. That's what we like to see. I look at this picture and it always reminds me of the boys are back in town. You know what they look like? What's his name? Quentin Tarantino's movie, The Reservoir Dogs. Remember that the cover? Anyways, look, you guys, real quick, just a quick reminder. If you're thinking about buying into precious metals, please give a consideration to our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is in the description. If you buy more than 100 ounces, or 100 ounces, good lord, more than $100 worth of precious metals, they will give you a free half-ounce coin when you use promo code Pimpy, Pimpy. I'll get the words out. Morning coffee's kicking in. All right, so nonetheless, let's get in here. So I got Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we talk about investment opportunities, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. No politics in this group. Bring the politics over to this other group, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. Over here, we can talk about politics, NESARA, Gesara, current events, QAnon, all that stuff. I don't mind. And yes, for the record, I finally do got Twitter. I have a Twitter account, and here it is. All right, you guys, so you can come on over here. The link is in the description if you want to join me on Twitter. I'm still trying to get used to it, but it definitely has have a lot of advantages. That's for dang sure. Anyways, let's get into the news because there's some interesting things going on. First things first, Parliament and Finance reveals the fate of the state employee salaries for the coming months. Basically, this article just says there's no need to really worry. They had already passed the laws about borrowing, both internal and external, and they have not exhausted the loans that they passed by law. So there's no need to stress about it. As a matter of fact, this article goes on to state that the salaries are good for at least the rest of this year. So I don't think there's nothing to worry about as far as salaries are concerned. This is good. Now, this one, Amir confirms his support for the adoption of al-Qadimi's, restoring the prestige of state. I'm going to get back to that because I have a feeling how all of a sudden these people are coming forward and showing their support for al-Qadimi when they usually seem to be speaking against them. Has something to do with this other article I'll get to in a minute. Iraq and NATO are discussing a long-term cooperation plan between them. Basically, all they're saying to the the NATO is this: help us with training, help us with logistics a little bit, help us get our military ready, and just be there whenever we need you. That's all this is, talking about their plans to make sure that, there are no attack from terrorist groups, mainly ISIS, and what they could do to help one another. So training is a big part of what they're talking about. Okay, so he says right here, during the meeting, the chief of staff emphasized, according to the statement, two main points, mainly training and institutional reform through setting up a long-term plan and in several stages in cooperation with NATO. So see, that's what they want. Look, it's got to do with security, which again, this is good. Starting to see more and more of Iraq being able to stand on their own 2 feet. We like that. So again, the regional government reveals the access of the visit for Baghdad to Peshmerga salaries and a share of the 2021 budget. We know before the budget can even be looked at or talked about that Erbil and as well as Baghdad must have their differences ironed out. According to this, the differences have been ironed out. This should just be a matter of time of them getting them signed. The UN and the United States has made it perfectly clear that this must get done, and it must get done right away. For the most part, I think all the things were actually agreed upon. We just have some bickering political parties that are trying to run interference. Hopefully that has been taken care of. All right, so that's what these are still ongoing, and we know about this. This article is long, but it's just the same thing. They want to make sure that they get the money they're promised. They want to make sure that they work together on security, the borders, the fees, the oil revenues, the whole 9 yards. So here's what I think happened and why all of a sudden people seem to be cooperating a little bit with al-Qadimi. An armed attack targeting the Barter organization headquarters in Kirkuk, of all places. The Barter one, weren't they just marching out and kind of speaking against al-Qadimi? All of a sudden, there was an attack on them. So a security source told the news that an armed group traveling in an unidentifiable car with license plates attached that attacked the Barter's organizational headquarters. So it opened fire with automatic weapons on the building. I say that's interesting because I'll show you the other part of that article that I think is interesting. So the U.S. warns, I told everybody this, why the hell, if they really want the United States and the coalitions to leave, why do you continue to launch missiles at them? If anything, that would have the reverse effect, and maybe that's actually what they want. Sure enough, the U.S. warns it will review policies in Iraq if missile attacks continue. In other words, if you're going to keep launching missiles at us, we're trying to remove our troops. You're going to make us reevaluate this and turn around and send more troops back in. All right, so this just goes. These are Washington is blaming the attacks on Iranian-backed militia groups. Of course, we expected that, but Iraq has to get in there and take care of these. Unfortunately, for a lot of the Iraqi people, these Iranian-backed politicians, they really don't want to do a whole lot to help this situation out. So anyways, I thought this was interesting that Ameri confirms his support for the adoption of al-Qadimi's restoring the prestige of the state. So this is these things that were laid out, and they agree with them. You gotta love how that worked. A little shooting up of an organization. Now, that's not the same. I don't believe they belong to the same organization. But I just think it's weird that the fact that this organization got attacked. Now you're seeing political blocs move forward, going, "Hey, we support al-Qadimi. It's time to get on the right side of the law, my man." So anyways, so the first one, it says, we believe the first primary task of the government is to extend security, restore the prestige of the state, and create the appropriate conditions for holding free and fair elections. We already know this, so I'm glad they adopted it. There's no room for alternating between the options of the state and the non-state. Yep, we agree with that. In other words, no more internal bickering, although, it's better said than done. We are with one option, which is building a just state that is capable of extending security and ensuring free and decent life for all and every Iraqi citizen. And I absolutely support that. Come on, man. You guys over there, I'm like Joe Biden. Come on, man. So nonetheless, look, we already know all these are. Al-Qadimi laid out in another article. We're starting to see support for his policies, which is good. This is what I'm watching for. Nice. Okay, so let's see. But the other one is peaceful protesters have a right guaranteed by the Constitution and is one of the means of pressure to find reform and change paths. But it must be in accordance with the legal procedures and in a way that reflects a sense of responsibility towards the country and its future. So they have a right to assemble. They have the right to protest under their constitution, just like we do here. And they're saying, look, no more of these attacks on protesters. We know there is a bunch of investigations going on, and they think they know who these people are that have been going around assassinating these protest organizers. You can't have that, man. The UN nor the United States is going to, in any way, shape, or form, support that kind of move, man. You got to go around there and arrest these people up. You got to do something to stop this. The people have the right to protest, and we feel like the Iranian-backed supported people are the ones doing these hit jobs. All right, so we know they're being investigated. There's nobody actually trying to stop this investigation, which I thought was very interesting. Number 6 is the security and judicial agencies must stand firmly and forcefully to the end the series of kidnappings, assassination, and a string of terror among people, behind which there are sinful hands that want to stir up chaos, and that retribution and prosecution of perpetrators and saboteurs is the exclusive right of the judiciary, with whom we stand firmly to achieve this. So good. And then this is the one I like a lot of. We affirm the transition to this stage of actual and rapid implementation of all measures that would address the grave scourge of corruption. And we call for the need for real and serious follow-up to pursue corruption in all parts of the state. This is good. This is what we want to see. We want to see the parliament get behind this, get behind al-Qadimi. We already know there's a lot of investigations going on into the assassinations and the kidnapping. We already know there's a lot of investigations into the corruption of the government. In the beginning, it wasn't very welcomed, but it's something is finally being done. These are big steps. This is what I was talking about before. This is what we want to see, and that is Iraq doing something about the corruption and those who intend to try to keep the country in a constant state of chaos. Anyways, back to Macron. Anyways, he has rescheduled his visit for this up-and-coming Wednesday. Again, al-Qadimi doing what he can to open up trade, fair trade talks. But I think there's really something bigger going on behind all this. It can't just be trade. There are nations talking to other nations. I know people are like, well, they do that all the time. No. Not like right now. There is a ton of chatter. I really do think people are drawing the battle lines between this movement to push everybody into this globalist new world order agenda versus those who don't want to. So I think what's happening right now is people are actually getting together going, what side are you going to be on? You need to take a side. We're at that point now. There's no doubt that we're at that point. These globalists have spent 50 years trying to push us into one direction. And right now you have one man standing in between their goals and our freedom. And if he gets reelected, I can expect, these guys are going to be in so much panic that they're going to have no choice but to unleash hell. And so it's time for people to draw a line in the sand and pick which side of this fight you want to be on. All right? So I noticed that the Japanese leader all of a sudden resigned due to health. I'm not sure what that means, but that is very interesting. So I see a bigger agenda going on here. I love the free trade talks. It's necessary. In my opinion, it's against the so-called the Great Reset. Free trade is how everything should be. All right, you guys. So it looks like there's a couple things happening, which is I think people are positioning for the global currency reset to happen. At the same time, you got those who are resisting this, trying to do their thing to prevent it. So we got a little bickering going back and forth, and Iraq is smack dab in the middle of it, in my opinion. All right, you guys. So that's it for now. Everything is still looking good. Keep your fingers crossed because I really do think this is a great year for us, all right? All right, you guys, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.